USF, we have head coach Ken Eriksen, Kathy Garcia-Soto, Alexa Galligani, Olivia Elliott, and Ann Long. We'll start with an opening statement from coach, and then we'll take questions for the student athletes, get them on their way, and end with questions for coach. So whenever you are ready.
Thank you. This is different for us. This is different for us. We haven't been on the road for an NCAA tournament in 24 years. We've been in 19 of them, but this is kind of the first time since 2001 that we were able to get out of the state of Florida. I'm glad to see that the NCAA is coming maybe to a little bit of the consensus of distributing the wealth through the country to come up with the better 8 teams in the College World Series instead of just regionally based on mileage. The sport has come so far in respect of you can do away with the mileage stuff and start seeding teams because that's how competitive it is nationwide. It's really cool that it's a revenue sport. It's really cool that ESPN has really elevated this sport into the living rooms of not just the fans, but also the living rooms of Major League Baseball players and locker rooms. So it's an exciting time of year. It's probably the most exciting part of fast pitch softball is the postseason, and it starts right here with the NCAA Regionals, and we're very excited to be in Fayetteville, Arkansas for the first time ever. It's one of the states I've never been to, so it's pretty cool.
Questions for the student athletes. Ethan, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess just for whoever wants to answer it, just kind of what's the mentality of this team going into the postseason?
Our mentality is to take it one game at a time, to take it one thing at a time. Like we all know that right now we have practice after this, and after that we have dinner. So just continue to take it one step at a time and not skip ahead, not rush anything, and just be in the moment, take it one pitch at a time, one inning at a time.
What do you think is the identity for people who aren't familiar with South Florida softball? Just how would you characterize what South Florida softball means? Whoever wants to take it.
I think we're fun. We're fun to watch. Our energy is fun to be around, and Coach says it all the time. We're blue collar. We're not here for all the glory and all the media presence. We're here to come and do our job and do what we're supposed to do and what we got recruited to come here for. So yeah, just have fun and do a job.
Maybe Ann on this one. Just what's diving into Washington, kind of the scout on them. What stands out about them?
I think that everyone who's in this position is a good team, but just going the same mindset that I've always, just trusting my team, trying to give them plays to make, stuff like that.
Yeah. Just for everybody, at this time of year, how important is it to just stay locked in, just very much where you're at in the moment and not try and look ahead to anything?
I think it's really important. We try to look at one thing at a time, like Kathy said, like what's after this? Practice, then dinner, so just live in the moment and know that even if you don't perform in the moment, the person behind you's always got your back.
I read that there's like 3 sets of sisters on the team, I believe. First of all, are any of you one of?
I am one of,
Oh,
yes.
okay. I want to hear your perspective, what that's like to have your sister on the team, and then the rest maybe. Just what's that like, the dynamic of practice, having that much, sister stuff going on, I guess.
Yeah, it's awesome. I think for me, like, it makes the bond stronger knowing that half the girls that are on the team grew up around each other, not only that, in the same household. So using the sister slogan to continue the bond between all of us makes it a lot stronger.
What's it like playing with a bunch of sets of sisters?
I think it's so fun, especially when we're at practice and like you'll see the Wilkes like joke on each other and like obviously like you always talk about kind of like that sister love, but again like what Alexa said, just actually having sisters on here and just the way they like goof off with each other, or like the way like the older ones might be like, hey, like grabbing them by the hand, like the younger ones, and just like showing them the way is like so cool. And again, it's just fun. All the sisters are so fun just to see how they are and their dynamic.
Can any of y'all define maybe like a certain game or series or something that you think just kind of says a lot about what y'all's team is made of this year? Maybe some adversity y'all hit that y'all were able to battle through?
I think one for our team would be the UAB last game. I came in the first inning and I didn't do great. We got down 6 runs. Leaving that mound, I was super upset with myself. I wanted to put my team like in the best position. McKenna Schroding came in. She absolutely did amazing. And then the offense came for me. I thought we ended up winning that game. I think, what was it? We scored 7 runs or
So
something.
to give you perspective,
Yeah.
this deal, they're not so detail oriented like a coach is, right? But Ann struggled a little bit, but she gave up some hits at the end of the bats. Things weren't going that way. And you're down 6 runs with 4 outs to go. Okay, 2 outs in the 6th inning with an 0-2 count on Alexa Galligani, and we score 7. And bring Ann back in to get the win save, or whatever they call it in the NCAA now. So, once again, resilience, playing 21 outs. But I think after that game, I mean, I was in awe of them, and I told them it on the bus. I was first time I was emotional all year. Like, I have never been involved in anything like that before. And we got back on the airplane that night, and I remember sitting in the seat going, we're going to win it all right now in the conference, and we're going to win the tournament. These guys are on a roll. And I've never been involved in anything like that. And it was all them, because I got thrown out in the 3rd inning. Okay. I can't tell you I was on purpose, but, they did it themselves. And that's a pretty good sign of togetherness.
And then just, I mean, to see the way y'all are playing recently, too, I think that always says a lot about a team, to see the growth from the beginning of the year to the end. Just what has it taken for this team to get to where y'all are really going into this tournament playing some of your best ball all year?
I think it takes hard work, but not only that, confidence. I mean, I always knew Ann had it in her. We would come to practice, and if I saw my name against her in that scrimmage, I was not happy that day. But I always knew she had it in her, and to see this year the amount of growth and the amount of success she's had, I'm not. I don't want to say I'm surprised, but I'm just extremely proud of her. And offensively, to feed off of that, feed off of Ann's success, knowing that she's going to keep us in a ball game no matter what, really helps us move forward and not sweat a specific score, being down runs or anything like that.
And can you walk me through your process, maybe mentally, just going into a regional where you'll see a lot of different hitters? Just what's that mentality that you have to have?
I think my mentality is just staying the way that I have. Every game I go, after I throw my warm-up pitches, I turn around and I say every person on the field's name, and I think that helps me just know that they're all there behind me. I think we have such an amazing defense. I think it shows in the statistics in the games. I know that no matter what happens, my team has my back. A missed pitch, whatever it is, they have my back. And I think that's something that I just have to continue having that mindset going into these games.
Yeah, that stood out, looking at y'all's team just statistics-wise, how good the defense has been. As a pitcher, what is that? I know everybody, of course it makes your job easier, but, really, whenever you go into a game knowing that as long as you put the ball in play, y'all have a chance for an out, how does that change your approach to what you can do out there?
I think it takes a lot of, the load off of me, just knowing that if we're in a, hard situation that may be hard to get out of. I know that if I, get Kathy the ball, we can turn a double play, things like that. I think it just takes a lot of weight off of me, and knowing that I don't have to do this by myself. I don't have a lot of strikeouts. That's not my game. My game is getting the balls to my infield, to the outfield, to let them do their job. So it makes it a lot easier.
Eric, do you have questions on Zoom for the student athletes?
Eric Lopez, D1 softball. Alexa, describe Olivia Elliott, the type of player that she is, and Olivia, describe the type of player that Alexa is.
Liv, number 1, awesome. Number 2, versatile. I think Liv can do anything. She can bunt, she can slap, she can hit for average, she can hit for power, and she could pick it in the field. Standing next to her when she's in left field, I know any ball that goes between us is going to get caught. So I just think her versatility has been an extremely important contribution to our game.
How do you describe Alex? There's so many ways you could go about this. She's a great leader, a great person, and just a great friend to have next to me on the outfield. We always look at each other, laugh at the umpire's calls or anything that's happening during the game. She's awesome in the field, awesome hitting. She can slap, lay a bunt down, and just is a great person overall.
And describe what's it like to have a defensive player of the year playing behind you like you do with Soto.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's just a weight off my shoulders, knowing that Kathy's behind me. The insane, awesome plays that she makes, there's things that I don't even think that she's going to make, and then she does it, and I'm like, wow, thank you, Kathy, It's just, she's amazing. She keeps me in the game, when things get hard, she comes up to me, she keeps me in the moment. So it's really great to have her, not only just to make those plays, but also just like keep me mentally in it.
And talk about your development and what you've learned, how you're a different pitcher today than you were, say, a year ago.
I definitely think I've grown as a pitcher, with my confidence and also just trusting my ball. I think I've really worked with my team and they're super good defensively. So I think just trusting them, knowing that I don't have to do this all by myself.
Kathy, just talk about the experience last year in the regionals and what you take from that that'll help you this year.
I think from last year to the regionals to now is the feeling after losing that last day and knowing that we had the capability and we do have the capability now to get out of the regionals. So I think that's the biggest part that I feel like we all kind of took out of it. And just knowing to come here and really just hone in and be us and just play our game.
And then for all four of you, describe what's it like playing for Coach Eriksen.
You'll get me in trouble now.
It's nice playing for Coach. He knows so much about the game, and our motto is always get him on, get him over, get him in, and Coach does a really good job with that.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, being around the game for so long, you learn so many things, and his softball IQ is just out of this world. You know that when he's behind the calls that are being played or when he's behind the pitches that are being thrown, that we always have a chance. So just kind of believing in him as our leader, he's our one leader, and believing that he has the capability to push us forward and allow us to win and allow us to perform the way we do. There's no doubt that we're gonna go in and be awesome.
Yeah, I think it's really great playing under Coach Eriksen, especially the fact that all of us players are really comfortable in knowing the fact that we can go up to Coach and ask him questions just to be able to understand the game better in the way that he thinks, so then we can become even better students of the game. And I think that's such a big important part that we're able to excel at playing under Coach Ken.
Any more questions for the student athletes? All right. Thanks, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you. Guys, right? All right.
Ken, just you and Heather are similar. That you're among the nation's winningest coaches, and you've done it at one place. I'm just curious, what does it take to be a coach who has sustained success at one spot?
I think you have to believe in your system, and then you have to recruit players that can perform within your system, right? Fortunate enough to have coached with Heather for 3 years with Team USA, maybe 4 or 5 years with Team USA. A brilliant mind of the game, understands a lot of diversification of how to play the game. And so she is one of those type of coaches like us that we rely on the fundamentals, the relentless discipline of monotonous repetitiveness when it comes to discipline structure on the defensive side and the execution on the offensive side. So I think the short answer to your question is you have to have a system, you have to be consistent with your system, and recruit good humans that are going to stay within the system. We only have one rule on our team. I've always had just one rule on our team since I took over. It's called the don't be stupid rule. Okay? And if you think your parents think it's stupid, don't do it. If you think I might think it's stupid, don't do it. If you don't go to class, you're not going to play. And that's all I've ever asked. So it's not getting in the weeds. It's kind of being very black and white. I think clarity has been a big part of sustainability over years, and staying with that philosophy. And it's not for everybody. We try to keep it clean on the field and present ourselves in public and walk a straight line and those type of things to represent the university, represent your family, represent your faith, all those good things. And once again, I think it's been sustainable.
What challenges does her team pose? Just get into the scout a little bit.
We play against the game more than we play against the other team, right? And because you have to have respect that there's scholarships in the other dugout and great athletes in the other dugout, and the teams that play the most flawless are the teams that are going to be the winning teams, right? So 80% of your games in college are lost. not necessarily won because the other team makes a mistake. So you're trying to be a little bit more flawless than the other team. And then we also know that our game lies. You could play really well, and not win, and you could play like crap and win. So for me, the only time that I ever get that little, blood thing that goes boom, boom, boom over here is when we don't play well. Okay, I like to see us try to play, and I'll probably I'll probably coach until we get the perfect practice.
What do you think separates teams this time of year? What when you look back is kind of the thing that always separates the winners and the losers?
You're gonna have great pitching. You're gonna have great defense. That's where it's at right now, and timely hitting. But the teams that are gonna play loose. We've seen it how many times in the College World Series where you've had the most talent in the nation, and the team just plays really, really tight, and they don't win. They make base running mistakes. So the teams that are prepared, that can play loose, that can keep an open focus of what's going on, and not get too crazy. And then, once again, to our players' points, the next thing is either lunch or dinner, and then we get back to work the next day.
Yeah, you mentioned at the start just the uniqueness of getting to be in Fayetteville because of
Yes.
obviously the changing of seating. You've been doing this for a while. What's it been like to see these type of these developments to take the sport in the right direction and get a more equitable bracket?
You only hope for common sense. You only hope for respect of the athletes that play this game. You only hope for the equitable facts of distribution according to seedings, okay, and not according to region-based things, okay? There's no reason that this sport can't be on the same pedestal as basketball, men's and women's basketball, baseball, all those type of things that are going on. I think we're finally breaking through that glass ceiling of like, oh my gosh, these guys are elite athletes. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. And it's been really cool to watch the evolution of our game getting the respect, and now getting the respect from the committees, okay, and the common sense to what's going on in the committees.
And last thing, I just want to ask, cover Arkansas. Robin Herring comes from the Tampa area. I'm sure you're familiar with just her, recruiting. What, maybe put into perspective where she fits into the pitchers to come from that area as far as successful college softball pitchers out of that pocket of Florida.
There's so many successful pockets of athletes across the country. So I couldn't really say to you, cause, it's kind of like this, and you'll understand what I'm about to say. I have a coach call me up every once in a while and goes, hey, I got the best shortstop in the nation. And I would say, oh, you've seen them all. Tampa Bay area is a great area for athletes because of the weather. Arizona, Southern Cal, Texas, but now with all these indoor facilities also, you're seeing some really good pockets coming out of the Northeast, the Midwest. So it's really tough to say, like, all right, who's the best of that area, right? It comes down to basically population and numbers. But you've got some talent that not necessarily gets recruited by Division I programs. There's some great talent in Division II. And so I think that aspect of it, too, is we're more like baseball now than ever before, where you'll get a guy drafted in the 37th round of Major League Baseball, ends up in the Hall of Fame. Okay? So it's not necessarily going to the schools that you see on ESPN every weekend. There's so much talent out there, right? And is a great diversification. And so to see a team like Southeast Louisiana, Marshall, okay, that did not win their conferences, that are not necessarily considered, the popular girl in the dance, they're getting recognized for being very, very good. So it's really cool to see that come about now. And now it's important also for our national team programs to take a look at other players outside of what you would consider the top 40 teams in the country, because there is a lot of talent out there.
Do you have any questions for Coach?
Yeah, I do, Coach. I'm ironically talking to you from Joanne Graff Field, thinking I was going to run into you this weekend, but you're in Fayetteville. You ducked me there. Take me through Sunday night. You're watching the selection show, and your name pops up in Fayetteville. What went through your mind?
Airplane. Hopefully we can get there by Friday. It's more the logistical. What days are we going to practice now that we can't just jump on a bus when we want to and go there. So those things for a coach are like, okay, when's practice next, and what we can do, training wise to fit in the puzzle of the time slots. But, wherever we were going, like we've played out in the super regionals at UCLA. We've gone to other places in the past, for me, but for these guys, it's more about making sure that the time slots for, and this is not a sexist remark by any stretch of imagination, but making sure our girls are fed so they don't get angry, okay? So when are they going to have lunch, and when are they going to have dinner, and when are they going to have breakfast, and then the snacks in between, and then practice and all these type of things. So more than anything else, Eric, it was about the logistics going to Fayetteville, not necessarily about, we know we're going to face great competition no matter where we go. So it was really about the logistics.
Is there a difference in a practice in a facility you've never been to? You mentioned you've never been to the state of Arkansas. Is there more attention to detail because you haven't played there versus Tallahassee or Gainesville where you played many times?
Well, it's still 60 feet from the back of home plate to the front of the bag. I know that, you know what I mean? And then maybe it's a difference of 10 feet in the outfield one way or the other, but it's still a ball field. The pitcher's still 60 feet away, or 43 feet away, sorry. And, I just, once again, let's, go out there and smell the grass and take a look around and enjoy the weather and understand we're still playing together as a USF team.
Heather Tarr, you obviously worked together in the U.S. national team, as you mentioned. What was that like working with her and getting to know her at a time where it was a very challenging time for various reasons, being a part of the U.S. national team?
First of all, she's one of the best human beings I've ever met in my life. Is almost like a daughter to me, or a very, very close sister. We ran a lot of things off each other. We both had some struggles in our lives during the time we were together, whether it was emotional, whether it was because of COVID, whether it was because of these type of things. I would hope that Heather knows, and I think she does, and I feel the same way, that if I ever called her to come and help me in whatever capacity that she would, I trust her immensely. I respect her, what she's done with her program. Like I said, she's just one of the greatest human beings I've ever met, and I was so fortunate to spend the time with her.
My last question. Everybody's good in this region, as you've told me over the years. Everybody get here for a reason. What do your team have to do this weekend? A couple things they have to do this weekend to have a successful weekend.
You know how I'm going to answer that question, right? You know exactly, Eric. We got to score more than the other team.
I just wanted you on the record on that.
Thank you very much.